Okay, welcome everybody to the town board meeting of Tuesday, November 14th, 2017. We start off with some announcements. We have the Horace Greeley Scholarship Fund Poker and Mahjong Night this Friday, November 17th. It's at Chapel Crossing, 7:30, and the Chicos will be hosting a beer tasting. Hear that, Gary? So, Small Business Saturday is coming up, November 25th, the day after, the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and celebrate your community with a small business that make it special. We have the Northern Westchester Artists Guild Annual Art Show and Boutique at the Greeley House. That's on Friday, December 1st to Sunday, December 3rd. Again, that's at the Horace Greeley House. Wine Around Town, December 1st, 5:30 to 8:30. That's a Friday night. And What Fresh Hell Live. Comedians Margaret Abels and Amy Wilson bring their hit parenting podcast to the Chapel Performing Arts Center on December 1st from 8 to 10 p.m. The Community Sing with holiday crafts and tree lighting is December 2nd, 3:30 to 8. And there's a whole bunch of activities at the Horace Greeley House that day with crafts for kids and then the tree lighting. And last, as far as the announcements are concerned, Empty Bowls Westchester to fight hunger in Westchester County. That is December 3rd at the Kittle House. That's a Sunday from 5 to 3. I'm sorry, 5 to 8. On to the supervisor report. So, town election. Now, it started off by saying now that all the votes are counted, technically they're not counted. I did think that they'd all be counted today, but I think about half the absentee ballots have been counted.
More than half.
But it doesn't look like the results are changing, so I'm going to say now that all the votes are counted, I would like to congratulate Ivy Poole and Lisa Katz on their victories. I said from the beginning this election was about people, not politics. The voters made choices. I hope the voters focused on substance. I hope they focused on our town, and I hope they focused on community. I also offer my congratulations to everyone who participated in the election. Democracy is at its best when it's not a spectator event. All the candidates who put themselves out there appreciate that unless you run for public office, you can't understand the pressures, the emotions, and the hard work that comes with campaigning. Theodore Roosevelt said that it's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly. Got to work on that word. So I have special remarks for one candidate, my fellow board member, Adam Brodsky. Adam, it's been an honor to be in the arena with you because you certainly have those qualities that President Roosevelt described. One day, all of us will walk around our downtown, a reinvigorated, community-oriented downtown, knowing there was one person most responsible, and that was you. My hope is that this December is not the last time we see you up here on this board, because Newcastle needs you.
And congrats to you too, Rob.
Okay, so that's that. Keeping and raising of chickens. Tonight we're updating our town code.
I like the transition.
Yeah. I expect nothing less from the supervisor.
I could have actually done something a little better with that. My bad. Oh, John. So tonight we're updating our town code regarding the keeping and raising of chickens. We try to focus on the benefits of keeping of chickens for personal use while minimizing the impacts to neighbors. And we're also concerned about providing for the health and welfare of the chickens. So here are some highlights as we stand now. It's not to say that's not going to change. For lots of 1 acre, no more than 6 chickens would be allowed. No roosters. Lots of 2 acres, no more than 12 chickens. On lots of 1 or 2 acres, you have to obtain a permit from the town clerk and pay a fee. I mentioned only female chickens, no hens, no roosters. I'm sorry, only female chickens or hens may be kept, and keeping roosters is prohibited. Chickens must be provided with adequate food and water at all times. All feed must be kept indoors in metal containers with metal covers, securely fastened, to minimize infestation of rodents or problems with predators. Chickens must be confined at all times to the chicken enclosure. The coop and enclosures should not be located in the front yard. They must be located a minimum of 100 feet from any residence situated on an adjacent lot and outside the minimum setback of the district in which they are located. Any person constructing a coop or enclosure must obtain a building permit from the building department. The coop should be covered and ventilated. Now, the keeping and raising of chickens on lots of at least half an acre, that you would need to go to our zoning board of appeals to get a special permit. We are going to try to make that process easy. The difference in that process is that your neighbors will have to be put on notice of the hearing, so if they have any issues, they can voice their concerns. And that's really the big difference. You know, the goal is that it's not an arduous process, it's not an expensive proposition, but your neighbors will be put on notice and they can voice their concerns. Tonight, we're also going to be, are we voting on the vape law? I should know this. We're just continuing.
We are, yes.
Voting on the vape law as well. So the purpose of the proposed law regarding vape shops is to reduce the negative secondary effects caused by vape shops and the impact such shops have on adolescents who may believe that e-cigarettes and vapor products pose little risk to health. It's important to regulate tobacco retail establishment at a local level to best protect the health and welfare of the community. The proposed local law regulates vape shops, defines vape shops as any retail outlet with 25% or more of its retail space devoted to selling or distributing electronic cigarettes or vapor products. Vape shops may only be located in the town's business or industrial districts, subject to several distance restrictions from schools, parks, and other points of interest for children and families. The proposed local law prohibits the establishment of vape shops within 2,000 feet of the lot line of any school. The proposed local law prohibits the establishment of vape shops within 500 feet of any park, playground, library, or religious institution. Furthermore, no more than one vape shop should be located on any lot or within 1,000 feet of another vape shop. So that's it. Also, we're looking to bring cell service to Millwood. Homeland Towers has been exploring a site on our where we have our water plants, and there are several providers that are already interested, and they're going to be doing a balloon test soon, and it's right by where they have the electrical wires already there, so it's you know, it's not exactly. I think it'd be it won't stand out too much. That's the goal, but we will look when we see the balloon test. And that's it. As far as this is the last thing, Westchester County Airport. Obviously, there's been a change in the county executive, and maybe the airport privatization is dead on arrival, but we still have a problem right now with all these charter jets, and that's something that we need to continue to look at, because actually there was a lease on the Board of Legislators' agenda last week. They keep on approving all these leases. And you know, like I said a couple times already, people don't realize the amount of private and charter jets that are taken off from Westchester County Airport. In 2014, the number is staggering. In 2014, 125,000 flights took off in Westchester County Airport, private and charter jets. Third busiest airport in the country for private and charter jets. Therein lies the problem. The problem exists here and the problem exists now, and airport privatization is another problem, but we can't ignore the problem that we have right now, and that's all those private and charter jets. And something has got to be changed with that. So that's it for the supervisor's report. Now on to the town administrator's report with Jill Shapiro.
Actually, I'm going to take and defer to Jovan because he has to get back
Oh, okay.
on the
Sorry.
road from Boswell Engineering.
could've done that
Jovan,
first.
can you come up and join us? So John Caswick usually takes and gives us our construction update, but he was coming back from New Jersey, and he was afraid he wasn't going to make it here on time, so Jovan got the short straw.
Right, exactly. Just to update everybody, currently we're in the process, in the final stages of removing all temporary water main within the town. We're going to backfill everything this week and take out all the plates and asphalt the entire area. We're going to finish the water main at Upper King Street in Greeley, and we're going to start saw cutting Friday for the new sewer bypass by Starbucks on Greeley and South Greeley and King. Coming November 20th, we're going to start working at 10 instead of 8. That's what's proposed on the contract. That will be until, I believe, the 2nd of January, and then we'll go back to 8 p.m.
Holiday hours?
Yeah, those are holiday
It's
hours,
much better
exactly,
for the
right.
restaurants and,
Exactly.
yeah.
Which we will also accommodate if, for whatever reason, on King Street, the restaurant needs to be, it's going to stay open a little bit longer. We can accommodate them and work somewhere else or begin our night work at a different location if possible to then lead up to that particular location up on Upper King Street, if need be. If they need us to start later, we can do that. We can accommodate. Other than that, everything is on schedule. We don't have any issues at the moment, and we don't foresee any. We're trying to mitigate any possible issues that we will foresee at the current moment. We're actually looking to see what type of poles Con Ed is actually going to install in the town. So,
Is there a choice? I mean, is there, when you say type?
I'm sorry, not type, I apologize. When they are going to install the poles,
I see.
so that we can work alongside Con Ed, and when we do the sidewalk, we don't pour concrete, and then they tell us, no, we have to switch poles or switch locations. So we want to work alongside Con Ed with that. Other than that, I'm sorry?
We want them as tall as possible also. We don't, I don't know if we have a choice, but obviously the taller the pole, the better.
Whatever Con Ed gives us,
well, we can talk to Con Ed and put
yes,
in
yes,
requests.
we can
It's not
call, we
whatever
can talk
they
to
give us.
Con Ed, but what's proposed right now is what they're gonna provide. So I'm sorry? I can't remember off the top of my head.
We
at the
spoke to
I
them.
think it's those really
Poles, I
tall
think, are
ones.
gonna be like 3 or 4 feet higher than they are now.
Yeah.
And they're gonna put the wires as high as possible on the poles to try to mitigate the aesthetics and clean up the old wiring. We had the meeting about the double poles, the subsequent meeting, that was one of the topics of discussion, and we spoke to the Con Ed guy and we discussed it with him, so they're gonna, to the extent they can, mitigate it.
Exactly.
Terrific.
Okay, I'm going to say one thing since I've said it at every meeting
Yes.
since about October. I had shared with John an executive report that was based on a $14 million project that was done in Millwood.
Okay.
And every time I see him, I say, is it going to be the next meeting? I'm going to have that report. It's now,
Shared it with you?
Yes, it was a pretty extensive report that they provided with every payment, I believe.
it was provided monthly to the board, so everybody would know exactly where the project was, not only financially, but also schedule and any kind of issues. It's just a summary report so that everybody who was not active on the site could actually know where the project stood on a larger level.
Right, aside from the weekly, monthly schedule that we have.
Right, right.
Right. Yeah, we're actually working on that, and we're going to provide it with the payment that's going to go to the town every month. So every month, a payment goes to the town for the work that.
I mean, a request for payment.
A request for payment, thank you, yes. And we'll provide it with that payment to the town. Request for payment to the town.
Okay, I would love to see just the draft when you're ready, because, I haven't seen anything, but it's been, I think, long enough to basically get that relatively straightforward template complete.
Okay. All right, we'll have something ready tomorrow,
Thank you. That's so kind of you.
no problem.
Thank you.
I think he's actually the guy putting it together. So
Oh,
I am, I am,
this may have been a more productive conversation than the other ones.
I am.
Perfect. Yeah. And Jovan is actually the one who's been sending out the daily updates to our first responders to let them know
Perfect. Oh, thank
exactly
you.
where
That's
the work is
good.
being done in town,
Yes.
which has been very helpful.
That's
and very
good.
well received.
What we want
So
to
thank you.
add to it is, we want to also provide those updates to people who may be interested in them. In other words, there are some people, we know there's construction going on, but, some people still seem to be surprised by it.
Right.
So, we want to be able to, if somebody wants to sign up and get a daily email that, the first responders absolutely need it. But if other people just want to get the updates,
We're looking
then
into
we want to add them to the list and
Right.
let them
So-
get the updates.
So when I spoke to John Caswick earlier today, he told me that he's going to get just a Gmail website that's either Chappaqua Streetscape or Chappaqua Infrastructure at gmail.com. They're going to put it on the Boswell page that's on our website, which has got the 2-week look ahead and all that other information. People will be able to go there, sign up for it, and we will just include them in the list of the daily blasts if people want it, just that basically construction update, this is where we're going to be. But I just have to be very clear about this. There's a tremendous amount of daytime construction that's been going on the past couple days. That's Con Edison.
Never, I know.
It's not us. I know you know,
Right,
but
right, right.
but not everybody understands.
So you're in the
And-
field, though.
and-
So where are you, I'm sorry to interrupt,
No.
so what's your understanding as far as the gas main from Con Ed? How far along are they and where are they,
Okay.
since you're out
My
there with them?
understanding, and none of this is official, but my understanding from Kramer Sanzari is that they would like to finish by the end of December. This week alone, no, I'm sorry. This week until about Tuesday or Wednesday, they're going to finish on South Greeley. Then they're going to go on Upper King Street and work on the connections over there. But
During the day?
during the day, yes.
Wow.
Yes. That's my understanding. I could be wrong.
Right, so what we were trying to do is get them out of the intersection of King and Greeley because it's a nightmare down there. And in all fairness to the merchants, Thanksgiving is a tremendously busy time.
Right.
And we can't have them there.
Right.
So we wanted to shut them down altogether. They tell us that they have to be able to do the connections. The compromise is that they were going to do the connections further up King Street and do the gas main connections to the main that's already been installed and get them out of the congested downtown area.
So is your I'm not like, this is not a legal thing. I'm just, like, I want you to think you're under, you know.
No, it's
Good, Joe, that's a good solution.
Yes. But so is it your understanding that the gas main is fully installed now and the only thing left to do for the most part is just the interconnections in every building,
Correct.
which is the hard part?
Right.
Wow. And do you have any idea how many connections there are?
No.
Wow.
I know they're trying to knock out anywhere between 2 to 3 a day.
So you got a long way to go.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Thanks
All
for the
right,
good
thank
news.
you.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
Just real quick, the only other thing I have to add is that you may have noticed that they just about finished the installation of the railing on the back staircase,
That
which
looks
came
nice.
out really well. So we're very pleased about that. As Joe.
You have to go, you can go. Go.
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
good.
we're
Okay.
good.
You're good. All
Thanks,
right,
take care.
Jovan. Okay, and we will notify people as soon as we get that Gmail address so that people can sign up either through the URL code and get access to it or through the website. And just a quick that Town Hall's going to be closed on Thursday and Friday in celebration of Thanksgiving. Hope everybody has a great holiday.
So Jill, just one other thing. Do you think the first responder construction reports can be emailed to everybody on the town board?
Oh, sure.
That would be good, just so that,
Absolutely.
Okay.
oh, boy.
Well, we're gonna add all the people that signed up for the updates too, and then if they want to opt out, they opt out. So, and then we have to get the list of all the people that signed up with that UR code, but that's not, we don't have that list.
QR.
We have to, QR code, QR code, QR
Whatever it
code,
was,
QR code.
QR code.
Get that wrong every time. Okay, so now we have public comment, new business. I know you guys are here for this dogwood. John? Real quick. Okay, let's see how quick it
But
is.
I wanted to thank Adam Brodsky. He perhaps carried a lot of the burden. Not only did he carry the burden for development, but all the people that were complaining to me about my car is this, my tires are that, it's going to be this or that. But what we've actually got is construction. What you actually got is construction quickly. What you actually got is stuff being done. And why did I think Mr. Brodsky was the right person for the job? Because if he can deal with New York City, he certainly can deal with our county. So I wanted to say thank you to all of you. Obviously, you've been under a lot of strain the last few weeks and months and still continue to serve. And so I just wanted to say thank you. I also wanted to say thank you. I was probably the first person to try out your new rail to get up to Town Hall. And it's very nice not to ski down that hill. So thank you for doing it. And what's nice is when you suggest something and it happens,
John. Appreciate it.
Okay, John?
I'm David Cooperberg. I'm a resident at 14 Dogwood Road. As Mr. Greenstein alluded to, first-time caller. Don't know, not comfortable in this venue. But I'm here because I want to make sure I understand the town's position with regard to a water main break. I know everyone on the board has received emails from me. I'm not here to talk about what's going on with the water mains in the center of town, but at the edge of town. There was a break on I don't know how much of this I should put in publicly.
Go right ahead.
Go
Feel
for it.
free.
It's your time.
Absolutely make the record.
All right.
Subject to 2 minutes. No, I'm just kidding.
No, no,
Okay.
totally
Just
make the
checking.
record.
So there was a break in the water main towards the end of the water main that runs north from Kisco Park Drive about 3.5, 4 weeks ago. Don't hold me to the exact day. Residents, some of them are here, of that street asked the town to make the repair. The town declined to make the repair, insisted that the residents make the repair, and threatened to shut down the water service in that water main. There was an exchange of emails. The residents, including myself, expressed our dissatisfaction with that decision and asked for a factual and legal basis for the town's position. I'm not as familiar with the town code as I imagine the town government ought to be, but I'm reading from Section 24 of the town code, which pertains to the Public Works Department, which says that Section 24-4B2, the department shall maintain the entire water and sewer systems throughout the town, including the operation and maintenance of pumping stations, blah, 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 blah. In other words, the town is to maintain its water system. And again, we've exchanged emails. The residents have asked for a legal and factual basis for why the town is declining to fix our water main. And the response has been that we've been provided 2 documents, a map from 1931, which does not show a water main running under our street, perhaps not surprisingly, because to my knowledge, none of the homes were built or existed in 1931. But I'm not positive about that, to my knowledge. And a map from 1981 or 83, I can't remember, a survey, but I have a copy of it here. And it shows, not too surprisingly, that there is a water main, and it's characterized as a water main running under our street. That's it. That's the factual basis for the town's decision to withhold maintenance on our main. We've also asked for a legal basis. I presented a legal basis for why the town ought to replace it. We've had nothing.
Did you not receive a letter? Because I know that internally we've been having conversations about this.
Yeah,
From Nick.
right. And the letter said, go ahead. I don't want to
Can you-
mischaracterize the letter.
Yeah, right. So where we stand with this is.
Oh, I didn't get it. I'm sorry. I didn't get a letter, to my knowledge, from the town council. From the town council, we got
none of you did?
only an email from Mr. Greenstein quoting the Commissioner of Public Works and Ms. Shapiro.
So
That's the only communication
my
I've
understanding
gotten.
is there has been internal conversation on the board, and I was enlightened from the legal, so I thought that the next step was about 2 weeks ago, at least, for you to have received a letter from town council explaining
We
the
did get
town's
an email
position.
from Mr. Greenstein that
No,
we
but
would be
from-
hearing,
Received
that
one.
we
Why
would
don't
be
we-
hearing
Can you
from
why don't
talk
we-
to it
why don't
now
we hear the
briefly?
legal?
So,
Yeah, let's,
so what we've done is
It's a
we've,
legal issue.
we need to confirm, the town has a legal obligation to maintain water mains if they've been accepted by the town. There's been a dedication, the town's accepted that.
Can you give me the authority for that?
Sure, I can provide all
Okay,
that too,
good.
and I'll do so.
Thank you.
And probably what the best thing to do, quite frankly, is to sit down and meet with you and go over all this, which I think would be.
I've done, I really,
Well, but we've gotta
me
do our
and
research.
the other residents have done everything we can to reach out to the team here, so don't,
So I'll
Oh,
arrange that
okay,
with you. What
okay.
what we're doing on our end, I've asked for the department staff to look at the records of dedication, deeds and easements
yeah.
to confirm all that, and we're
Yeah.
going through that. So it's not, unfortunately, it's not readily available as
Right.
much as we'd like to.
but then why did the town decide to force residents, who I can prove, I can show you my deed, don't own the line to fix it. If you can't, if the town can't prove that in fact the town doesn't own it, that it wasn't dedicated,
Because
what kind of service is that?
Sure, we can go through this when we meet, but the town can't spend public funds on private property. If there's no proof
Fine.
that
If you
that's,
find after the fact, you're.
so I don't want to interrupt you.
All right. You're right. I'm sorry. It's getting too.
And I,
please.
no, and I appreciate,
Look,
obviously,
water
this
is a
important.
very
So stressful.
important.
We
Yes, it's totally stressful. Water is pretty basic.
No, so all I would say is, we will meet, we'll have a discussion about the facts, and let's make sure we're all having the common facts, and then we can argue. So let's first get the base documents out there.
Okay, but while I'm here, I would like some clarification. Yes, please. I would. As myself and the residents here have been asking for the factual and legal basis for the town's withholding the maintenance of our line for 3 weeks now. So whatever absolutely, we would like to discuss it. We'd like to hear that fact and that law.
Pardon me for one moment, Nick, is there a time relatively certain that the residents can know that we can have an answer in some capacity?
Well, we can set a date, documents aren't as readily available, and we have to do a bit of research to find them. So I'm happy to put a date on paper, and we can meet at that time. and
What's the
let's-
current status as of this moment? The water's just running?
No, but they've repaired it, and so the concern isn't about,
Under threat from the town that it would shut off the water supply. Again, there's apparently no documentation or law to support the proposition that it shouldn't be serving our main.
well, with full, I don't want to argue the point, there's no proof that it is the town's main. So the
No,
town's
no,
not gonna
no,
go
I didn't
out
say
there
that,
and
I
repair it.
didn't say that you had, I didn't say that you had.
No, I know,
proof that it
but the
was.
town's not going to go out and repair a property that they don't have,
It
they
says
don't
to-
acknowledge it.
the
It's there.
town code says that you need to repair the water, the whole water system, maintain the entire water system in the town.
It's not, listen, I'm not going to, there are private pipes that we don't maintain. I mean, like 3 winters ago, that we had, I think, 27 residences had their pipes freeze that went from the street to their homes, and there were
Right.
27 residents that were very upset to learn that they're responsible for that line. So the point is, we don't maintain every single pipe. I think everybody, I mean, listen, we all know what is important. We could all, say the right things. Let me just backtrack for a second. There are plenty of roads that residents want us to pave, but it's a privately owned road, and we can't pave it. As much as we'd like to pave it, we can't. We can't use public funds for a private purpose. The same thing is happening here. It's not a question that nobody wants to help you and the residents. This is a very expensive proposition, okay? It's not the money. It's the fact that whether it costs $10 or whether it costs $100,000, which is what it could cost, it's not the money. It's that we're not allowed to use public funds for a private purpose. And that's what they're looking at now. If it turns out that it is a public line, then you're right. The code you're citing to, you're 100% correct. We would be responsible for that. The question is whether it's a public line or a private line, and there are private lines out there.
Right. All I can say, I have a copy of my deed. As far as I can understand it, it makes I don't own any portion of it. I have a copy of my survey, also relatively recently done. I don't own the land anywhere near the water line. So I spoke to at least some of the residents on my block, and they will say similarly. So I don't know.
But to me,
You're
it
putting
feels like
you're
there's-
putting on the residents in a difficult position here. It's awfully difficult for us to prove we don't own a thing. What more can we do than show you our deeds and our surveys? It's incumbent upon the town to have these records, and it seems to me and if that's not the position, I'd like to hear it from.
Sure, so what I'd like to do first is continue compiling all the documents we have relevant to it, and then let's meet. To Jeremy's point of setting a date on the calendar, we can do this offline.
No,
but-
please.
But
go
how
ahead.
about the Thursday after Thanksgiving, that Thursday the 30th? In the morning, if that works for you, let's coordinate that offline, but I think in another
Okay.
2 weeks, hopefully we'll,
And Nick, just to think about it strategically and creatively. So let's assume that, and this is just totally assumption. I don't know any of the facts, but let's assume that it is a private line, right? And there's a significant cost to upgrade it to a public specification to
Right.
be, in accordance with our town code. Could we create a water district just in that area and somehow spread the cost over many, 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 many years to maybe make it an easier?
that question's being asked, I don't have that answer, because it's an unusual situation. If you're going to create a special water district, it needs to be approved by the controller's office and be economically sustainable.
Right. But I mean,
I mean, in other
Is
words, so my
is
only
the
point is just
water
that
main
we be-
that goes to the laterals that goes to their homes, is it out of code
Yes.
for other pipes installed at this?
Yes, it's not a water main that the town would accept for dedication, is what Jerry's telling me.
Today.
Today, I'm talking about back in
There is
1981.
no evidence that we've been given or law or
Because it
fact
looks
that
to
it
me like this
was
may
not
fall
included
into
when
a
it put
gray
in.
area.
It may, but I'm not gonna, we don't know what area it falls into until we've completed a review of the
But Nick,
record.
my
So
only
it's all
point is,
speculation at
is
this
if
point.
this is the case, I think, if I was in this gentleman's position, I'd be very upset as well, and we all understand that completely. So the question is, we should do everything, and I'm not saying anything that you don't agree with, but we should do everything in our power to come up with some creative solution over the long term to allocate the cost, if there is some cost, so that we're not overly burdening the residents.
Yes,
You know, I
understood.
think it's, and I spoke to a lot of people at the train station, you know.
I was one of them, yes.
There is nobody in, I mean, listen, Jerry, you know, he's a technical guy, and maybe you don't like his answers sometimes, but the fact is, everybody in town hall is, we want to help you. We need something.
Jerry,
need justification in
We
order
can't
to
just
do
do it
that.
because we feel bad or it's a big expense.
but-
We need somewhere to hang our hat so that we can use public funds. We're not using public funds for a private purpose.
I appreciate what you're saying, but I'm not sure how much more, as a
reading that
citizen,
town
I
code
can
doesn't
give
help.
you.
Reading the town code doesn't help.
Would you like to see my deed? I have it.
See,
I will
just,
show- I don't own it.
Look, you're
think those
you're
are the
really
issues.
upset, and I totally get it. I would be too, but it's a breach of our fiduciary obligation if we use public money for a private purpose. So, while it's frustrating, it's taking a long time. That's why they have to do the research to find out one way or the other. If it turns out that it was dedicated to us, we will 100% use whatever money we need to make sure it's maintained and you're reimbursed. But if it's not, we just can't do that. It's a breach of public trust and our fiduciary obligations.
Nick, what's the story with the deed? Would the deed actually say anything about whether?
It would be unusual for the deed to reference that,
Can I
correct.
ask you something about the area that
deed
you
is
live
not-
with
is
on
not-
Dogwood
Sure.
Road? Were most of your houses developed at a single point in time under one developer, or was it sort of spread out over time?
I think many of them were built in the 50s. I don't know more than that.
I think that at some point,
I think that
57,
I
what
think
you may
so.
also, at some point, what you may want to do is go back and request the site approval plan from the planning board, which would have conditions attached
we
to
So
it.
should
what
do
we're
that,
well,
too.
but we're doing that.
And we'll
Yeah,
do
we're
that
doing
too,
that.
because that would indicate whether the
share
intent of the
everything with
planning
you.
board was for it to be a part of a public sewer system or a private sewer system. And if there was an error in transference, water system, I'm sorry. If there was whether it was an oversight or a lost record or something like that, that's something we can identify. But it sounds to me that it has to go back to the original developer.
Right, so the relevant documents are the building department files, any site plan and planning board approvals, the subdivision map,
Correct.
as well as offers of dedication, easements, and deeds, and town board minutes that might reflect an offer of dedication and a bill of sale to the town for that pipe. And all the information we get, I'll share with the group and provide that to you.
So the deed that you're holding is not, unfortunately, is not determinative. There's other issues, and that's what's taking so long to research this stuff.
From
And it's
67
from
years ago.
60,
Or
yeah,
70
70
years
years ago.
57. And that should help the building department find the record.
So that's fine, but part of the reason I was here was because we were told we would hear from the town council over a week ago, and we
And I
didn't.
apologize, you should have, I thought you had.
And we were told by the town administrator that the records were clear. I can quote a letter from you, that the records were clear, that this is a private.
Right, so,
That
so
doesn't
the,
help
That this is a-
so that, therein lies the problem. Our records at this point do not show a dedication. That means it's a private main. What we've done is gone 4 steps
If
further.
you want us to stop, we can stop now, but that's not good
But
for you.
that doesn't help you
We're
if I
trying to
stop
find a
now.
hook for you.
If
what
you're
we're trying to do.
mischaracterizing your own email, what you, I can
If you want us to stop
I
right
think I'm
now, we
getting
can
off
give
the
you the
track.
letter
I'm off
that
the track.
says we
Of
can't
course
help
not.
you.
Of
We're
course
trying
not.
to
Of
find a
course
hook
not.
for you. That's what I said, and that's what we're trying to do.
Of course not.
So I don't know if it's productive
right,
to
but again-
continue, I mean, I think the takeaway is.
No.
So Nick, is there any way
Right
to
now, we don't have
expedite
hope
the
for you.
search? Can we get a couple
So my-
other associates on it,
So I
or
have another question
or,
for you.
It's town staff
don't
records, and
want
some
a
are
letter
in
right now.
storage.
town staff?
I have
Well,
another
can we-
question for you.
Can we get somebody to help
help
out
you.
town staff
I
and,
understand you're frustrated. We're
no, I
trying to
know,
help
but
you.
can we get
Believe it or
like
not.
a paralegal or something to get into towns to help out town staff and see if we can try to expedite this as much as possible? I know it's a lot. And it's years, I know.
It's from 70 years ago.
I can tell you where they are. I know where they are.
So I have two more question issues. I apologize for taking everyone's time this evening. One, what if the records simply are absent? I mean, thus far, that's been my
But can I
impression.
just
There are
say-
no
can
records
I just-
speaking to
Can I
the
just
ownership of.
suggest something, because I really don't want you to get more upset, and I don't want anybody up here to get more upset.
Yeah.
I think that this is one step at a time, and I think that
I
if
just don't
there
want to.
are-
I don't want to keep coming here. That's all.
no, you don't want to keep coming here, but
We're not gonna let it
We're not
drop.
going to let
We'll-
it drop. I think what we need to do is let's just complete the record search and see if the record is complete or incomplete. And depending on what comes back, that will determine either your next step or our next step, or maybe we move together. But I think until that basic thing, we can theoreticize all we want, but I'm not sure it will be the most productive use of your energy or our energy. And I think what we need to do is just deal with fact, and let's just go forward from there. And I think that you have waited a long time, and that if there is something, and I'm with Lisa, if there's something we can do to help expedite the process so that you have adequate time to review the documents and bring your questions up, and Nick can sort of give them to you a look in advance so that it's a more productive meeting, perhaps with an agenda, that would be a good thing. But I think we should just go that far, and getting that far will be big progress.
Well, that's what they're doing.
Your waiting's hard, but
No,
I have your email
I'm
address,
willing.
so what I'll do is I'll send you out a suggested meeting dates.
Yeah.
And we'll make it work, whether if it's morning, if it's evening, I'll work with you on your schedules, and we'll get it done in the next 2 weeks. And we'll see what we have, and if we don't have everything, we'll still meet, so we can at least review what we have and start answering some of your questions.
All right, well, my primary purpose for being here tonight was to get the information. Looks like it'll be another couple of weeks, but I can wait another couple of
And
weeks.
Nick, just one other point.
It's nice to
before I
meet
let
the
you go.
Dogwood
So,
Road people.
when they got their title report, when they bought their houses, isn't there a rep in the title report that's connected to public water?
Right.
Well, but
There
I
would
guess
be, yes.
ultimately it's connected to public water.
Well,
but-
correct, and that's something we need to discuss with the
Maybe
building
they should
department
pull their
title
title
searches.
reports too, maybe it'd be
Well,
interesting to
the-
look at that.
Well, it
town
raises an
board-
ultimate issue. There are other properties, I believe, in the town where you have either non-conforming pipes or pipes that are privately owned, but you obviously get public water. So when the title company asks, are you receiving public water? The answer to that question is yes.
Until it gets to their house. It's just
Right,
how
right,
it-
but
how it
exactly right. The
traverses.
question isn't, are you getting public water through a public transmission line
Right.
completely? So we need to clarify that with the title companies, which Jill and I have spoken about, finding out where these private lines are, because Dogwood Road is not, it's unique, but there are others like it.
Sure,
So we
interesting.
need to clarify that issue so it doesn't occur again.
And that's actually a good point, though, what Nick is saying. And what we also do is that even though you may say, you know, just fix it, you got the resources, just fix it. We can't, besides spending public funds on a private purpose, we also you can't start setting a precedent that we are now in the business of repairing what could be private lines. Like, because there's other private lines out there throughout the town. So, it'd be improper to use public funds on private property, but also you're setting a precedent that would, you know,
Look, if it turns out in law, in fact, that it's a private line, then, then it's unfortunate for the Dogwood residents, though certainly none of us bought our homes with that understanding. But
But having
again,
said that, we're looking for a hook to help you, and that's the key word, a hook to help you. And that's why it's taking a long time, because to date, we haven't found a hook yet.
I think that's more than one word.
yeah.
What did I say?
we promise you, we will keep looking, and hopefully Nick will have some good answers for you in 2 weeks.
Be patient. We're on your side. If we can make it
If-
happen.
And
we'll make it
and let me put it this way, if no firm date is set within a reasonable time frame, let us know, so we'll make sure that happens. And if something slides, I'm sure Nick will inform the board so that, we know where you stand, and that we can help expedite it sooner rather than later.
I don't think there's an issue where they stand.
No, I'm talking about where, no,
firm date-
in
We're on
terms
the
of getting
process
the
and the
information, where the
discussion.
process, yeah.
A
Yeah.
firm date is great too. We can
No,
have
I
a firm
just-
date tomorrow,
well,
but we're trying to
we're trying to
search
help.
every single piece of record to give you the hook, right? You don't want to, I mean,
No, but
we
we'll
can
have
have a
enough-
firm date tomorrow and come back and say, we couldn't find anything, sorry, you're out of luck.
We'll certainly
That's not
have
what we
some
wanna do.
information and something to discuss in 2 weeks.
We're trying to find the basis.
Would, just a quick question, would the board, even back then, the board would have had to accept a dedication, correct?
Correct, and, right, yes.
So that
That
should be in
exists
the
for over-
minutes.
You just
Yes.
have to
Oh,
go
minutes of
through
when?
60 years of minutes.
It's right, so it's
Well,
finding
no,
the
if
right
it's
set of minutes.
1957, once it
Well,
comes from the
well,
planning board.
It's
I don't know
60
exactly- I don't
years
know
of
exactly
minutes.
when
The
the
problem
line
is
was put in.
nothing
I
was
think in
No,
the
the-
50s.
we know
on
the
the
years.
computer back then, so you have to go through it.
I have indexes.
Yeah.
We have gone through,
But the point, right,
we've
Oh, you
gone
haven't
the
even,
point
you've
is,
gone
we
through
don't
all of
have,
them.
the point is,
No,
we
what
don't
would
have
be-
that. So that's
Wow.
something we can hang our hat on. So we're looking for other things. There are things that we've looked at already, but it's not helping us help you. We're trying to find something that would actually help us help you. It's not that we haven't looked or we can't find these things. We haven't found the hook that can help you.
Right,
So
so for
to sum it
example,
up,
we're,
be
so,
patient, and we're going to keep looking.
right, so for example, we've asked for the clerk's office to get the resolutions pertaining to dedication of other streets in the area, because maybe, while not indexed correctly, maybe there's a reference to your street within that. So we're out there looking for it, and it just takes time. Again, the building department files as well. So I appreciate you weren't aware of that.
Personally, I'm glad to hear it, but exactly as you said, it's been radio silence for,
Right,
for-
understood. I
for the
apologize for that.
residents.
And will you get them, you'll get them a copy of the memo, or whatever
Yeah, what
you
was,
thought
I mean,
was
is,
gonna be
are we
sent
still
to
gonna
them?
send that letter, or it's now, based on this
Letter?
conversation, the
No, no,
letter
we'll-
gonna
we'll-
change?
No, well, we'll provide them with what we have and send them a letter, yes.
Okay.
And I'll reach out to them. I think I have everyone's email address. If not, you'll let me know.
Thank you, Nick.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Richard Smith at One Dogwood Road, and I'm glad to hear that there's a process going on. It was, as David said, it's been quite quiet. It seems to me that, as has been stated, that my home was built in 1953, and I'm sure there were permits, and water was required to be supplied, and it surprises me not only that it would be allowed that a home would be built without and on town water without a main being supplied maintained by the town. Also, it's somebody asked about the standards, and no, it doesn't meet the standards of today, but perhaps it met the standards of 1953 or whenever it was put in. That's important to keep in mind. So the other thing is that I know for me personally, like there's a portion of the town that has behaved as if it's it's town water, it's town and towns maintained. There's been no distinction from the assessor's office. When I've asked for adjustments to my taxes, and they did comparables and evaluated. There was no mention of any adjustment for the value of the property based on it not being a town maintained line. So one part of the town is acting like there's no distinction between town and private lines, and the other parts of other parts, as we're discovering now, are behaving as if there is a distinction. So there's an inconsistency there. And finally, I'd say that we were told by the commissioner that this issue's come up in several other neighborhoods around. So it's surprising to me that the town hasn't, looked at this more
Proactively
clearly.
throughout the town.
Proactively, exactly. So that to identify, where are the private lines, and inform proactively the residents who have private lines.
So right, this is my first involvement with them. That's what I suggested as well. We need to inventory, identify where those private lines are, and make sure not only do the residents know, but there's also a note in the building department file. So to the comment earlier about prospective purchasers on title searches, that's clear as well.
Right.
So I agree. Yeah, we need to look at
Yeah,
that
so
issue.
I mean, as David said, we all bought our houses assuming this was not only town water, but also a town maintained service line, or not service line, but main line down our street. And we understand that several years ago, in 2011, I had to pay for the repairs to my service line that's coming just directly to my house. I understand that. But this is quite a different thing. And if the town says they don't own the main, we don't own the main either.
So generally what happens, as I understand it, and certainly I wasn't around at that time, but I've
Yeah.
experienced it in other municipalities you represent as well, is the developers of a lot, your lot wasn't likely developed as part of a larger subdivision, it was done by an individual builder, and so they would extend the town main with a substandard pipe to get water to the house. How that was done, how it was occurred, I don't know, that's what we're looking into, but generally
And how it
that's.
was approved by the town and
Well-
county.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you presume it would have been substandard?
No,
Yeah.
Well, no, because in 1931, the map that we gave you, the mains that are there are 6-inch mains. So when he says substandard, he doesn't mean like in quality, he just means in size. So the pipe that runs down Dogwood is 2 inches.
Yes.
So that was our first tip-off that it wasn't a town-installed main, because the town-installed mains were 6 inches. Not that you would know that because it's under the ground, but that's, when he says substandard, that's what he's talking about. It's not a quality thing. It's a size of the transmission. That's okay.
And also, there have been repairs by the town to portions of this water main, you know, which sort of, as you said, sets a precedent that the town has taken responsibility for.
Can you
a portion of
document those occasions?
this. I don't have the documentation because didn't involve me, you know, and my property. Yeah, it was. I'm told it was approximately 2 years ago. And I spoke with John and I can't remember his last name in the Public Works
that's town.
Department.
Well, Jill, can you, what's being referenced?
A repair on the corner, the intersection of Kisco Park Drive and Dogwood. Kisco Park Drive has a 6-inch town-owned, town-maintained water main. The Dogwood, and I don't know how they got to it, but it's my understanding that the repair was the Kisco Park Drive portion. That's what was explained to me. I wasn't there for the repair.
Well, that's, again, I don't want to
That's-
make sure that there's rumors. That's why I want to make sure that if you have any specific occasions that within your collective memory of your community that can be documented, that's something we can research. And so at least we know, like 2 years ago, Jill knows about that. We can research and find out exactly the type of repair. Because I think sticking to kind of the real facts makes for a more productive conversation.
Absolutely. And I spoke with John in Public Works Department, and he told me that it was on the Dogwood Road portion of the line that was repaired. So
There's a
that's
work order,
verbal.
and we can check that.
Yeah. So you could look at that documentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. So, now, I think the public hearing for the chickens was closed, but if anybody wants to make a comment, now would be the time to do it, because we're not opening the public hearing. So if you're here for comments for the chickens, now would be the time to do it in the public comment portion.
Well, I can tell you what so anyways, I think when we rewrote the law from acreage zoning to lot size, I think what may have happened, and Rob captured it in his email, and I agree with him, that I think there may have been, if you were zoned for 1 acre, what we were trying to do is capture oversized lots in smaller zoning. But
The
what
spirit
we-
is it's not the zoning, it's the size.
Right, but what ended up happening is you could have a smaller size lot in 1 acre zoning that may predate the town's zoning. And I think that was an oversight. So I think as long as, and I think Rob said it the best, but as long as it complies with the setback requirements, it falls. So I think it should be 1 acre or within 1 acre zoning and meeting the setback requirements.
I agree with that.
Which is the spirit of it.
Right, I mean, you could do that. I know Ed had responded to you with his thoughts on that and said that if you did so, it's hard to predict what that particular scenario would look like, the size of the surrounding properties, the zoning district, something the ZBA
But we know the
could take
size
into
of, most of the
consideration.
surrounding properties are gonna be 1 acre, right?
Right, but if you allowed on those smaller lots, the ZBA at least has the ability to require screening So
As long as we handle the setback issue, I think we're covered.
Right, because it's not a third of an acre lot in a 1 acre zoning. That doesn't happen. I think it's some of those lots that predate the,
The zoning map.
yeah.
And even if it was a
Hey, Rod, you have
Can I
to,
speak? You have to use the
Sorry.
microphone.
Just so they can hear you at home.
you, yeah.
Even if it was a third of an acre, if it met the setback requirements, which I don't know if a third of an acre it would.
No, it wouldn't never meet
Okay,
the setback
but let's
requirement.
just say it did, then what's the problem? Right? It's not the size of the acre, it's you're trying to protect against the neighbors being bothered, and the setback should do that.
Setback should, yes, so it's the
Okay.
board's policy if they
As
want to do
long
that.
as long as you have the setbacks in place, I agree.
I agree too.
But I think it has to be within the acres. We don't want a whole lot of like half acres sort of all of a sudden
Just remember that.
until this goes further.
Right, but you then, there's then less usable land, because on a smaller acreage, the house occupies the land.
Right.
There's maybe other uses on the land, so do you then have sufficient room for the chickens and the other uses?
Well, if it has the setbacks, then
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah,
100
if the
feet.
setbacks
It's not
exist, then it
just the
should be.
setbacks, also the distance from the neighboring
Right, house.
house.
And if they want to use that portion for chickens, that's their prerogative. Bless you.
Bless you. The reason we did that was you could have a property that's oddly shaped that could meet setback requirements, but could be like 5 feet or very close to a neighboring house. So we wanted to make sure that both were addressed.
So, sorry, do we have to go back and amend that now?
You would, if you were going to adopt it tonight, yes, we would need
Let's
to
amend it, let's get it done.
make that change.
But don't we want to acknowledge Rachel?
Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
Acknowledged.
Yeah.
Okay, but I thought Rachel was gonna come up and give us a little,
Yeah.
Tutorial.
a little speech about,
If you want, we'll put you on a chair and lift
Like
you
an
around the room
acceptance
like
like a victory speech. Take a victory
a
lap.
horror.
Rachel, Rachel.
Dun, dun,
Short
dun,
though,
dun,
Rachel, keep
dun,
it short.
Don't forget to thank your mom.
Yes, thank you, Mom.
Your
Your
dad
dad-
came a
your
bunch of
dad-
times too.
Yeah, your dad.
The Academy, thank you, Academy.
Well, I would like to thank the town board for their commitment to,
Chickens.
yeah, to the chickens.
Who knew?
Yep. I mean, and it's not just about chickens, it's about preserving American agriculture as we know it. Even if it's just in a small bedroom community backyard, I mean, that still counts. So, yeah, I'd like to say that my chickens that I donated to St. Christopher's school are going to be, well, they're first housed in a farm in Croton, not my house. The rooster's not there. Hasn't been. But they will be going to St. Christopher's tomorrow to be permanently housed there. So,
Good.
yeah.
Rachel, thank you for all of the energy that you put into this. You actually helped.
Information.
You really did help educate me, and I think everyone too. And for anybody who watched you, you did a great job. Thank you so much.
Just to dovetail on what Hollis said, it shows you when someone has passion about a particular topic, it shows through, and when you have passion, you persevere, eventually it happens, right? So this is your passion, and you were here, and you convinced the board, and you were intimately involved in the whole thing, and so thank you for doing that, and continue doing that for the rest of your life on every topic, because that's how you really get places.
Thank you.
But we're not going to let you off that easy, because we're probably going to call on you to help us with some of the education materials.
That's fine. I actually wrote a curriculum for the animal science program at St. Christopher's.
Is there a test?
Oh, perfect.
There's no test at the end, is there?
No.
Well, we should, can you send that to us?
I mean, you have to go to college locally, so you can't leave. You have to stay near town in Newcastle. Some nice colleges around here.
Yeah.
So what I would suggest, and just in
Thanks,
looking,
Rachel.
Thank you,
Thank you, Rachel.
in looking at the code, I think because Richie's going to be one who has to enforce that, I'd like to make sure I review it with Richie first, the change that you're suggesting, to make sure it's something he understands and has the ability to apply when someone comes in with an application. So I'd suggest you not vote on it tonight, and let's
I'm cool with that.
push it over so we get it
I'd
done.
much
So
prefer to,
when
I'd
we-
much prefer to get it right, but I don't think what we want to do is, I think we want to keep with the spirit of what we're trying to do and not I think we had it right, but then.
Where
we
there's a
got it
will, there's a
wrong.
way. It'll happen.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
I just don't want to rush it now and find out that Richie.
Fair,
Yeah.
sorry.
Don't worry,
Well, let's
Robin,
put
did you
it
order
on
your
for 2
chickens? Like,
weeks.
can you put them on layaway or something?
Can you put Rachel's house for now?
You didn't
Wait
like-
a
you
minute,
missed the
I
layaway.
think
You missed the layaway.
this
That was
law
a-
goes into effect January 31st,
Yeah.
2018.
Chico's
Well,
can,
Is that where we
Should hold on to
left
chicken
it?
nuggets.
And
because
actually, I
allow
spoke
for,
to the gal
education.
from
Cornell?
Cooperative, and she's putting a program together with Muscoot. I asked her, could we partner with them? She said that she's going to do it for February into March, because that's when people order their chicks for the spring. So.
Thanks,
we'll
Jill.
do it. Okay, so we'll.
That's a
we'll-
good combination.
But, you know, Nick, just to
Yeah,
summarize.
Not
we
for
should
you
make it the
experienced
31st.
chicken
We
people.
should make it 31st.
But
I mean,
it's,
the bottom line is, I think from the beginning, like I said in my little intro,
Okay,
So-
well,
we're trying to, well, I'm just doing a little summary. We're trying to, we all know there's benefits of keeping chickens. We want as many people as possible to have chickens, if they want to have chickens, while respecting the neighbors' properties. And if you're complying with the setbacks, you're respecting the neighbors' properties.
So my last comment was going to be on the effective date. If you push it to January 31st, that basically means that the keeping of chickens is illegal until that date, because right now it's just allowed.
oh.
And I know that's not what you intended, and I know we don't have the
I
permits and
thought what we
everything.
wanted to do is make sure that we had the educational materials, because we were gonna have that form that
Well,
would
can we
acknowledge it.
grandfather in current chicken own? No, you can't, because it's
They're
against
just gonna have to go and get the, like what people
Right.
do if they have an illegal shed. You go in and get your permit.
I'd rather it was a situation that we,
Just do it
But
back.
no one's ratting out the outlaw
Thank- yeah.
chickens.
no,
I don't think
but I'd
there's-
rather
Except
you
for
were in a
one.
situation where you had
But we're
it.
supposed to uphold the law.
Right,
You gotta uphold the law. You can't do that.
right.
You can adjourn it.
Right, so if anything, I'd make it effective either upon adoption or January 1st, and then they can at least go to the building department if there's issued in violation.
Make it upon adoption.
Why would we make it upon adoption?
That's what I would recommend, yes.
Yeah,
don't
I
like-
see no reason
Yeah,
why we wouldn't
let's
do
make
that.
it upon adoption, but
That's
then in
fine.
order to get the permit, they still have to do the education
Abs-
requirement.
Right.
Let me ask you a quick question.
Okay.
Today is the 14th. Next week, the 21st, is a work session. Do we have a meeting on the 28th? Is the 5th Tuesday
We
Tuesday of
do.
the month?
You do meet on the
we
20th.
do. We have a very heavy schedule on the 28th. But
Okay.
if we're set, we actually, it's because the 21st is a public meeting, we could still approve it on the 21st.
Is there any way we can do it tonight, subject to language just being worked out with
No,
Richie?
because the law has to be
Set.
approved and set
Okay.
by you.
Okay.
Can we
To
can
do
do
so-
it next week?
yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's a work session. We can do
We
it at
can
the
still
work
do it at a
session.
work session.
Okay, fine.
I'm sorry
Right,
that you
so
guys
let's
came
approve it
down
next
here
week.
without this big moment, but,
We'll get it right, though.
We'll get it done next
Okay.
week. It'll be fine.
I don't know. I may have changed my mind, Robin. I'm not sure. Anyone want to agree with me?
Ignore him.
This is gonna be my parting shot.
That's right.
This is the most important legislation.
We'll let you do the roll call.
Did
and then
analyze
we'll
this
let you-
chicken thing pretty good.
Rename the law after me or something?
No, we should name it Rachel's Law.
You want the chicken law named after you?
I have a good name I can come up with, Adam, but I'm not going to say it publicly.
What, one flew over the cuckoo's? No, no.
Yeah, there you go. All right, let's
Not
move
even
on.
gonna-
Okay, on
I'm not
that
even gonna say the
note,
first letter.
Nurse
put
Ratchet.
it on the agenda for next week? Yes. Okay.
All right,
All right, moving on.
very good. So that was we're still in public comment, new business, actually, technically. Is there any other new business, public comment? Okay. So now we move on to our agenda. We have some public hearings to set. First one.
all right,
the
so
budget.
I don't know, I mean, I think we should do it by the page. Yeah, we should do
No,
it by
no,
the
no.
page, but I think, something
These
like the
are-
northern, okay, so I'm
We're
gonna,
doing these now,
we're not doing this, this, and this?
the first four.
First four. Okay, the motion is made to set a public hearing regarding the proposed 2018 preliminary budget for Tuesday, November 28th, 2017, at 7:30 PM in the Assembly Room of Newcastle Town Hall.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
A motion to set a public hearing regarding the proposed Northern Fire Protection intermunicipal agreement for Tuesday, November 28th, 2017, at 7:30 PM in the Assembly Room of Newcastle Town Hall.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
A motion to set a public hearing regarding a proposed local law regarding building permit expiration dates for Tuesday, November 28th, 2017, at 7:30 PM in the Assembly Room of Newcastle Town Hall.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
A motion to set a public hearing regarding a proposed local law amending Chapter 111 of the Town Code concerning snow removal and sidewalk repairs for Tuesday, November 28th, in the Assembly, at 7:30 PM in the Assembly Room of Newcastle Town Hall.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The next one is where
I'm giving out right now.
Wait, okay, so
Should
we
we not
are
go through the-
skipping over 5, 6, and 7. They're all being replaced with the resolutions that Kira's handing out now. Everybody
Okay.
have them?
Go ahead,
It's for the
Lisa.
bond.
Got it.
It's for the bonds.
Okay.
Yep, yeah.
What's this?
So do you want to explain about the bonds? You want me to explain about the bonds?
Oh, this
Uh,
is
while
the
you-
bonds. Where's
it's
the
not
bond
bonds.
thing?
While you do that, oh,
Sure. Yeah, yeah, just the full.
I don't think this is a bond.
Yep, so you have several, yep. Let me hold up what you
Let's-
have. First, you should have two-page documents in front of you. Pull those out. Those are scheduling a public hearing for January 28th. The first one is November 28th, thank you.
Oh, here.
For November 28th. One is for the, relating to the increase in improvements of the sewer district number 1, and that is the bond amount of $1,839,206. So that is for the sewer improvements.
Lisa, you always get these ones.
And then there is a water improvement for $3,640,361. Both setting the public hearing for November 28th. Thanks, Aunt Betty.
Can't
So
I
you don't
just
need- you
move
don't need to-
set a public hearing?
Yeah,
I
right, you don't need to set the entire one. The
Yeah.
record will reflect that the full resolution is before the board and available for public review. And we do need a roll call vote once you call the motion.
Okay, so I move to set a public hearing regarding the increase and improvement of the facilities of sewer district number 1 in the town of Newcastle for November 28th, 2017 at 8 PM in the Town Hall of Newcastle, New York.
That's good?
You need a roll call vote?
Yes.
Jeremy, after you?
Wait. is
No,
there-
Need a second first.
Oh,
I second.
Okay, so now, this is my first time doing a roll call vote. Do we have like a
Go
drum
down
roll
the
or
chain.
something?
you-
Say- say
Just call each
Roll
of us.
call.
Just call each of us.
Councilman Salant.
In favor, aye.
Councilman Brodsky. Aye.
Am I supposed to say my name?
Go
Well,
for it. Council.
technically the chair votes last.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Aye.
She didn't say her
Aye.
name.
Councilman Katz.
Councilwoman.
Aye.
Katz.
Why do you have to say her name? We know who she is.
For the
You
record,
have to say my name.
for the record, yes.
You're supposed to say my name.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Oh, so,
Oh, let's do it.
He's
It's
just
like we're in
awful
Congress.
at this.
It's like
I've never done a roll call.
Let's start over.
No, it's okay.
Okay,
Somebody
we're
please
good.
say my name.
Rob
Supervisor
Greenstein.
Greenstein.
Aye.
Okay, Supervisor Green, okay. Okay,
That was
so
fun.
next,
Traditionally, the town clerk calls the roll call, so speak right up.
okay.
Oh, there you go.
All
That's why I
right,
was so
see,
confused.
all right,
She forgot
there
our-
you go.
Maybe she forgot our name.
We have little signs
We
right
did it right.
here.
Let's go to
one,
next.
the next
Go to the
one.
next one. Go ahead,
Okay,
Lisa.
all right, so you can redeem yourself, Mary, on the next one.
I think
Okay.
Christina's gonna be.
I move to set a public hearing regarding the increase and improvement of the facilities of the Newcastle Stanwood Water District in the town of Newcastle for November 28th, 2017 at 8 PM at Newcastle Town Hall.
Second.
Wait,
Oh, no.
No.
You still need a second,
You're
right?
up.
Yes,
second.
we got the second.
Okay.
No, who did?
Who's on first?
Mary, here we go. This is
Go,
your,
Mary, this is your
your
moment.
time.
You speaking
Yes.
here.
Supervisor
I go
Greenstein,
last, Mary.
Already.
Mary, come on, start again.
Councilmember
Take two.
Salon,
Aye.
Councilmember Brodsky,
Aye. That's okay. We'll go.
Okay, it's okay. She's doing great. She's doing great.
Councilwoman Katz,
Aye.
Councilwoman McCoskey,
Aye.
Supervisor Greenstein.
Aye. Good job.
Thank
Mary.
Look
Good
at
job.
When did the balloons
that.
come down?
The next resolution before you have two more, is the shorter, the thinner packet.
Yep.
Okay,
This is
take that, Lisa.
calling for a public hearing for the bonds for November 28th. This year
these
for the
two are-
Chappaqua Hamlet Infrastructure Project.
Okay.
Downtown.
Got it. I move to authorize a public hearing for the bond issue for the Chappaqua Infrastructure Project for 3 different bonds for Tuesday, November 28th, 2017 at
Eight.
17.
That
I
says
know it
18, but it should
says
be 17.
18, but that's a typo. 17 at 8 PM in the Assembly Room of Newcastle Town Hall.
Second.
Second, okay. All in favor?
No, no,
Oh,
no.
we need a roll call again.
Wait a
You need a
minute.
roll call again?
Here we go. Mary, you got it.
Mary.
You've
You
had
got
some
it
practice now.
Councilmembers Salon,
Saland?
Land,
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Brodsky,
Aye.
Councilwoman Katz,
Aye.
Councilwoman McCoskey,
Aye.
Supervisor Greenstein.
Aye. Okay,
Okay.
Next one.
haven't done it perfect yet.
Is
so-
there
All
another?
right, one more?
Oh, I got one more.
Or is it this one? It's the fat
The
one.
big larger
fat
one,
one?
yes, the big one.
Okay, all right, I got it. I move to authorize to call a public hearing for the bond issuance for various town projects as set forth in the resolution for Tuesday, November 28th, 2017 at 8 p.m. in the Assembly Room of Town Hall.
Second.
Go for it, you're up, Mary. Make
Yeah,
it
so
happen.
that's-
Should be
one.
changed to 2017 also.
Councilmember Salon.
Saland?
Salon. Me too.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Brodsky.
Aye.
Councilwoman Katz.
Aye.
Councilwoman McCoskey.
Yes, aye.
Supervisor Greenstein.
Aye.
It's all right.
Okay,
There we go.
good job.
Yes, she has.
Okay.
Okay,
All right, am I up?
Yep,
Okay, we're starting on 8 now?
yep.
I move to adopt, oh, this is exciting, adopt, there we go, local law regarding vape shops effective immediately. There we go.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna skip
By
9.
the way, I want to throw some kudos out
Are
to
you
Jeremy
voting?
for bringing this to our attention.
Yes.
This was
What?
his initiative.
voting yes.
Thank you.
Vape shops.
Shucks. Okay, we're gonna skip 9, right? I move to accept the proposal of PKF O'Connor Davies for municipal auditing services for a 3-year period in the amount of $60,000 for fiscal year 17, $60,000 for fiscal year 18, and $61,200 for 19. The proposal has a provision for optional renewal based on the request of the town of Newcastle for fiscal year 20 and 21 in the amounts of $62,424 and fiscal year 2020 and $63,672 for fiscal year 2021. This revised resolution supersedes the resolution of 10-10-17, which approved the contract 63,672.48 for 2018.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks for giving me this one.
That's where we go.
All right, I move to adopt the following resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign the following documents and briefly, as reflected herein, whereas by resolution adopted September 20th of 16 and filed in the town clerk's office. Shortly thereafter, the planning board of the town of Newcastle approved a 3-lot re-subdivision plat requested by Kerry Homes LLC. Whereas conditions 9 through 12, 14, and 16 of the resolution require the applicant submit to the following agreements, and they are recorded satisfactory, and the special town council have been reviewed, and the town board has reviewed and approved the following declarations. Whereas the town board is in receipt of the above listed agreements, and special town council and the town engineer have confirmed they are in satisfactory recordable form. Now, therefore, that it be resolved that the town board hereby approve the aforementioned agreement and authorize the supervisor of the town of Newcastle to execute all documents as may be necessary for the purpose of recording the agreements.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I only got one.
Oh, keep
No, keep
going.
going.
You've got,
Ooh,
you
I
still,
have the
you've got
title there?
another one.
Oh, that's another tough one. All right. I move to adopt the following resolution, authorization acceptance of letters of credit. Again, whereas the resolution adopted by the town clerk's office, filed in the town clerk's office on September 21st, the planning board of the town of Newcastle approved a 3-lot re-subdivision plat requested by Carry Homes LLC for certain properties. Where the conditions 13 and 15 of the resolution require the applicant to submit a bond, among other things. Whereas the town board is in receipt of the following letters of credit from Sterling National Bank, which have been reviewed by the town engineer and special town council and found acceptable as to the amount and form respectively. One is for $608,000, the other for $20,000. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby accept the letters of credit and authorizes the supervisor of the town of Newcastle to execute all documents as may be necessary for the purpose of the letters of credit.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, this is a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign recording documents for an irrevocable offer of secession for Carey Homes subdivision. I move to adopt the following resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign recording documents for offer of secession. Whereas by resolution adopted September 20th, 2016 and filed in the town clerk's office on September 21st, 2016, the planning board of the town of Newcastle approved a 3-lot re-subdivision plat requested by Carey Homes LLC for two properties located on Cary Lane and designated in the town of Newcastle. Whereas the town board is in receipt of an irrevocable offer of secession for the new proposed cul-de-sac road and associated water main improvements underneath the right-of-way, which document the applicant proposes to record in the Westchester County Clerk's Office. And whereas the irrevocable offer of cessation has been reviewed by special town council and found to be an acceptable form for recording, and whereas the recording of the irrevocable offer of secession does not constitute the town board's acceptance of the offer, now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the supervisor to sign the necessary recording documents for the irrevocable offer of secession. Be it further resolved that the resolution does not constitute acceptance of the irrevocable offer of secession.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. All right, Lisa, go to town.
Okay. This,
Correct?
this is an authorization to approve CVAC request. Whereas members of the Chappaqua Volunteer Ambulance Corps, or CVAC, provide important emergency medical services to the town. Whereas in 2010, Section 163 of Article 11 of the New York Civil Service Law was amended to extend New York State health insurance program eligibility to include active members of volunteer fire and volunteer ambulance companies. General municipal law, Section 92-A7 permits a public corporation to provide coverage for volunteer ambulance workers with certain provisos. CVAC has requested the town of Newcastle sponsor their participation in the New York State Health Insurance Program, and the sponsorship, the town's sponsorship of CVAC will not require the town to expend any money. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Newcastle sponsor the Chappaqua Volunteer Ambulance Corps to participate in the New York State Health Insurance Program in order for CVAC to provide coverage to active volunteer ambulance members pursuant to Subdivision 7 of Section 92-A of the General Municipal Law and Subdivision 2 of Section 163 of the Civil Service Law. And be it further resolved that all administrative functions related to this coverage, as well as the establishment of the coverage, including but not limited to the entering into the agreement for coverage, be delegated to CVAC.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Could you just put me down as an abstain on that, just because I'm on the board of CVAC?
And Nick and Jill, did we not discuss that the fire department does not take advantage of this, but we, if am I mistaken, but they can through us additionally? I thought some reason it's,
Last time.
oh, you weren't, that's right, I'm sorry.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
All right, super, great, thank you.
I would send it to the board as well as the fire chiefs. I don't know, do you have the company president's contacts as well?
I'm sure Jill
I'm
can
sure. we
track
can
it
get-
down.
No, that's harder to get.
Oh.
I can,
Yeah, and just let them know that CVAC took advantage of this, and if it's something they want to look into, they should
Right. It was actually
Let us know if
CVAC's
they're
idea.
interested.
if you have the prices, what they would have to contribute, if you have a schedule yet?
I heard it's very expensive,
they
but
have
the
to
coverage is very good.
they do their own research, right?
Yeah, let them do their own investigation, determine if they want
All
to.
right. I move
They
to
do their
adopt
own
the
research.
minutes from the town board work session for June 6, 2017, and town board meeting of June 13th, 2017.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move to approve payment of claims in the amount of 73,559.71 listed on the summary pre-check writing report and detail report, both dated November 9, 2017. Checks will be issued and mailed to each claimant listed on Wednesday, November 15, 2017.
Second.
All in favor?
I move to authorize Recreation Supervisors Donna Esposito and Aaron Potters to attend the 23rd Annual New York State Recreation and Park Society Downstate Conference to be held in glorious White Plains, New York, on November 14th of this year at a cost not to exceed $140.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I move to accept the following monthly reports for October of this year: Town Clerk, Court Clerk, Developmental Department, and Receiver of Taxes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, I move to adopt the following resolution, amending the master fee schedule. Whereas the town board of the town of Newcastle is authorized to amend the master fee schedule by resolution from time to time as the town board deems necessary. Whereas the building permit renewal fee for the town of Newcastle is currently $500 for 3 months for a new residence, $1,000 for 6 months for a commercial. Alteration, in addition, is a 50% of the original permit fee. Now therefore be it resolved that we are amending it to 50% of the original permit fee, or $1,000, whichever is less, for 6 months for new residential construction, additions, and alterations, and 50% of the original permit fee, or $1,500, whichever is less, for 6 months for new non-residential construction, additions, and alterations.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So if you want, I can summarize this next one and then maybe just read the last two
That's
resolved.
so nice of you.
Read the
Thank
last two
you so much.
Why'd you do that for me?
So on this one, the Water Department is requesting authorization to use the New York State Office of General Services mini bid process. Typically, you have to go out and do a request for bids. This, using the mini bid process allows you to shortchange that because New York State has done all the advertising for bids and the publication. So you're authorizing the Highway Department to use the New York State mini bid process to seek bids for purchase of a reference truck.
Great. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Newcastle hereby authorizes the Commissioner of Public Works or his designee to submit said mini bid application to the New York State Office of General Services to solicit bids for the specified vehicle. Be it further resolved that any department is hereby authorized to solicit a New York State OGS mini bid vehicle marketplace without Town Board authorization, provided that once all mini bid responses have been received, the Town Board shall review the responses and award any mini bid contract.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We used to have it, we used to call it in the,
The OGS list?
All right, break it out, Lisa,
call
with
it,
the last
sorry,
one.
this, we used to call
Let me
it,
summarize the next one, Lisa.
we used to call it the New York State bid list.
Right, so this is different. This is different from the New York State bid list. They have a new process called a mini bid.
You have to
More
afford it.
competitive than the New
Or
York
that's the
State?
theory behind it, yes.
Okay,
They have
thanks.
pre-approved bidders. You can then go out and do a mini bid where they'll send it.
And then you can still go back to the New York State approved list if it's cheaper than the mini
You
bid
could go back to,
process.
yes.
Beautiful, I love it.
So this next one, I'm going to summarize and just read the last resolved. Again, you can award bids through advertising for bids. New York State also allows you to piggyback off of other municipalities that have already gone out to bid, and you therefore find as a board that that's a better way to get the bids and you're comfortable with the cost. You've done this a couple of times. In your packet, you've reviewed it, was the underlying documents that show Onondaga County, in this case, solicited bid, advertised it, and awarded it to Van Bordo Ford.
Are we required to identify on a map where Onondaga County is, or spell it?
Or Cheektowaga, yeah, spell it,
Cheektowaga, yeah.
yeah. So that is the process. You're awarding a bid based
And
upon
again, we
piggybacking.
also confirm that it's
got
less
that.
expensive than New York State bid.
The question is, did Jerry confirm that this is the most cost-effective means and it's lower than the New York State bid prices if you went onto the New York State bid list? I don't know if that vehicle is listed.
if this vehicle
I don't know.
on the New York State.
Yeah, because we should just double check, because I know often the New York State bid list is not the cheapest price. But that's why I just think, but as a matter of protocol, we should probably just do a
that's what
gut
he
check.
does.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll confirm that with him.
Okay.
So you can just read the last resolved.
Thank you. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board authorizes the town to piggyback off of the Onondaga County's bid award, and upon review of the attached documents, including Van Bortel's Ford's bid documents in agreement with the County of Onondaga, awards to Van Bortel Ford the contract for the purchase of one 2018 Ford F-550 under Onondaga County bid, reference number 7974, in the sum not to exceed the contract price of $62,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move to temporarily promote Patricia Puccarelli from part-time office assistant to a competitive status and grant permission to work excess of half-time.
Second.
Wait, this promotion is effective for up to 90 days. This is a temporary promotion due to a need in the Newcastle Police Department.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I move to approve Leo McCarthy, founder of Mariah's Challenge, as a guest speaker for the program being held by Newcastle United for Youth on November 16th, 2017, in the amount of $5,000. The money used for the speaker is paid for in full by the Drug Free Communities Grant.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 You want me to do these two?
Yeah, just do it. Sure.
All right, I move to award engineering services for the Millwood Sidewalk Improvement Project to NV5, 32 Old Slip, 4th floor, New York, New York, 10005, in the amount of $150,300.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And finally, I move to hire Dylan Burns in the Recreation Department as special event staff at $12 per hour and as a youth teen instructor at $22 per hour, retroactive to October 22nd, 2017.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is that it?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good night, everybody.